Welcome back to the Toyota Solutions studio. I'm so pleased to be joined by a mother of invention from 2013, Heather Burke, the CEO and co-founder of Girl Tank. And there's no easy way to describe the number of services that Girl Tank provides. So I'm going to have you explain, what is Girl Tank?
Absolutely. So Girl Tank, we're dedicated to supporting female social entrepreneurs in their journey, wherever they may be. So we work with female social entrepreneurs as they're starting, growing, and scaling their businesses to support them to access the right funding, the right partnerships, the right networks, so that they, as entrepreneurs and their businesses, can thrive.
I know that mothers of invention tend to be social entrepreneurs, and so you held a workshop for the mothers of invention. What sort of things did you feel like you wanted to educate these mothers of invention about?
This was a really special year for us as mothers of invention. It was the first year that all of the mothers of invention who could be here in New York for the Women in World Summit had an opportunity to get together and to envision what collaboration looked like within this cohort. And so this first workshop that we held was called The Art of the Possible. And when we thought about designing this workshop, we thought about how being an entrepreneur is part science and part art. And it's the art part that makes entrepreneurship so unique because it requires that every individual brings their own lens, their own experience, their own unique way of seeing the world into their own business. And so we wanted to bring all of the mothers of invention together to imagine the possibilities for co-creating a better world together within the Mothers of Invention cohort. So today was just the beginning.
I can only imagine what the energy was like.
Oh my gosh, the energy was so high. Today was just the beginning. We were looking at different areas inside of our own businesses, technology, capital raising, marketing and communications, and trying to figure out where are the pain points in our own businesses, what are some of the growth opportunities in our own fields, and how can we tap into the collective wisdom within this own group to accelerate opportunity for each and every one of us. And so it was a very exciting day.
So this may be an obvious question, but why is it so necessary to have an organization like Girl Tank? Are these resources not available or less available to female social entrepreneurs? Is it harder for them to break through? I mean, is that the problem you're addressing?
Well, when we started, we interviewed over 800 female social entrepreneurs from around the world. And what we found that was no matter where she lived, what she was working on, or where she came from, that all of the entrepreneurs were feeling some degree of isolation, some degree of disconnectedness. They were starting these incredibly complex ventures essentially on their own. So from start to finish, from marketing and branding to supply chains to revenue models, standing these up on their own. And we thought that, and what we found within these cycles of isolation, that there was a capital starvation cycle. And so often what was happening is that the doors were closing on these ventures even before they got a chance to get started. And from Girl Tank's perspective, we thought this just can't stand. We really need more women innovators in the world, and we can't afford to let another woman's voice and her vision close. And so we started Girl Tank knowing that we needed to bring people together and to create local ecosystems where female social entrepreneurs can thrive, and creating these mini environments and these microclimates where women can get together and workshop and talk about what's happening in their business and find those entry points for collaboration accelerates progress not only inside of a woman's own business, but also on the issues that she's working on. And so we're just thrilled to be here once again with Toyota.
Well, these are all such important buzzwords for women that want to start something. And you talk about capital starvation. I am not going to pretend to be an expert on this, but I have read that venture capital funding tends to go vastly to men in their startups. How do you address that issue, that the funding itself may be discriminatory on some level?
The capital question is quite complex.
Yeah.
Some ventures are hybrid. They have a revenue generation component to them in addition to a social impact component. Others are strictly nonprofit with a social impact component. And this is a long conversation that's been happening within the social sector on how to value the work of individuals who are accelerating social change. How do you quantify the value of that work that's being created on the other side? And so, particularly for those organizations that have not found that sweet spot with a revenue model, who are traditional nonprofit organizations, the expectation is, as a nonprofit, you shouldn't have too much of a revenue stream coming in. But the reality is that without that revenue, the progress on the issues that women are working on, from education to healthcare to technology and the environment, we're never going to see progress on those issues unless the funding models reflect the need for sustainability within those businesses.
I know that there's been a lot of talk, and excuse me if this is tangential, but I know that there's been a lot of talk recently about sort of financial literacy for women, that definitely in our generation that's becoming understood as more important. How does that, when you meet social entrepreneurs that are female, do you find that there is less literacy around some of the capital raising and the financing of their endeavors?
Well, I do know that the venture capital world is an entirely new field and set of skills and vocabulary that we are just starting to explore. And so there's a lot of incredible groups out there that are educating women entrepreneurs on not only the pitch, but on venture capital speak, how to create those deals.
Language.
It's a totally different language. But
when you go into a meeting and you have your pitch, you have to be able to speak the lingo.
You have to be able to speak the lingo. We just had a conversation today with some of the other mothers of invention talking about not only the pitch, but knowing how to present themselves inside of those pitch meetings. Knowing that as a woman, it's really easy to get that meeting because a lot of venture capital firms are looking at increasing the number of women inside of their pipeline. That's fantastic. So it's easy to get the meeting, but to close the deal is much harder. And so that's the gap that we're working in right now. So in terms of literacy and capital raising, women have the grit, they have the tenacity, they have the skills, and now it's about finding the right mechanisms, such as what Toyota has enabled the Mothers of Invention to do here, to offer a forum for women to share their own expertise and experiences in capital raising so that after you get that meeting and you walk in that room, you know how to work that room.
Totally. Talk about some of your proudest girl tankers, women that you have helped along the way on their path who are true success stories and are making a difference.
Gosh, there are numerous, but I have to call out, and I call her out quite often because she is such a rock star. She came from a slum in Mumbai, wasn't able to continue her education, and said to herself, this can't stand. And so Arti Nayak of Saki Girls Rising is a true success story. She has gone on to work with the United Nations and other multilateral organizations to express her own commitment to young girls' education. And Arti is someone that we hold very high when we think about.
And how did you help her along as she came up with the idea?
We supported Arti with her business model, but also with her storytelling. How does she talk about the work that she's doing and increase the visibility from a slum in Mumbai to the United Nations in New York? How do you get that story out there? And so that's something that Girl Tank has been working on for a number of years, is increasing the visibility of female social entrepreneurs in the world, because if you can't see it, you can't believe it. And we really need more women standing up, not only knowing that they have a voice that's important to the world, but believing that their voice matters and undertaking enterprises to see that change.
How does one sort of apply? Do you have to apply? How does one connect to your organization? Because I'm sure there are a lot of young female social entrepreneurs that would like that kind of support.
Yeah, it's so easy to connect with us. You just go onto our website. We have a voice section. You can join the movement quite easily. Enter in your name and your email address, and we'll get in contact with you. Okay. Right now, we're building local ecosystems for female social entrepreneurs to thrive, looking at the issues that are relevant to some of the pain points and the opportunities in local markets around the world.
You're global.
We're global. Yes, we are global. We work with women from around the world.
Where would you like the organization to go from here?
From here, I'm really focused on the intersection of female social entrepreneurship and policy.
Okay.
Looking at how the issues that women entrepreneurs are working on, whether it be healthcare or education, how that intersects with the local or national policy landscape. So where we're going from here is moving from our efforts to build these collaborative ecosystems among female social entrepreneurs dedicated to the kind of capacity build, the peer-to-peer capacity building, to fostering greater dialogue among policymakers and female social entrepreneurs. I think that's
such an important piece. It's something that I think will come up on this, you know, with a lot of these conversations I'm having. All right, let's have some fun. You're here at Women in the World in New York City. There's some amazing speakers on the agenda. Who are you most looking forward to hearing from?
Well, you know, this is an easy question for me. We talked a little bit about this. I'm really excited to see Hillary Clinton. I'm very, very excited to see Hillary Clinton. Hillary is someone that I hold in high regard, and it has been a northern light, so to speak, in my own career. And so seeing her is always energizing and reinvigorating.
Heather, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights. We wish you the best of luck as you continue to grow Girl Tank and your mission. Heather Burke, the CEO and co-founder of Girl Tank, joining us in the Toyota Solutions studio.